Hi, today is December 9th and this is Wednesday, 8:30 Mountain Time, and it's our scoping out time. I created scoping out so that I could help share the tools that I teach to my clients and show you how they're used in a real person's life. This is my life, and to show you that really, in all honesty, even though I teach these tools and I develop these tools and I help people through their stuff as a certified professional life coach, I am not exempt. Hello from Kansas! Hello, Kansasite, Kansasian. That even us life coaches and therapists and the people who help put these things out there, we're not immune from this work. Nobody's perfect. And I think it's really empowering to watch somebody who is in the thick of that life also live life and figure out how to use these tools in the life that we're given, rather than trying to figure out how to put our life on hold while we find our inner peace, right? The two things don't happen separately, they happen together. So that's the reason why I created Scoping Out. It happens every single Wednesday at 8:30 Mountain Time-ish. Some days my kids have late start and you have to give me a little bit of grace. But that's the whole point, right? This is real life, and these are real things we're all going through. And I am so excited to share with you something that happened to me last week, because boy, I shouldn't even say happened, I should say started last week and is going on for me. Last Tuesday, I had a huge breakthrough for myself, personally and professionally. It was a big shift. It was a big shift in my business. It was a big shift in my mindset. And one of the things that I help people through is really getting that, we know a lot of things, right? We know we should do this. We know that ultimately the right answer is that. We know it logically, but we're not really able to take action on it or take that next level step until we know it with a capital K, like deep inside our being. So really a lot of the work that I do with people is helping them shift that from their head to their heart, really, and get it to a place where it is a part of your belief system, a state of being, rather than something you're constantly just trying to put on a list or create one more thing to do or to remember or to manhandle your life to fit what you think it's supposed to be. And this is one of those where, I knew something logically. I knew that there was this place my business could go logically. There was this place I could go. I knew it logically. But I was really getting a lot of opportunity and practice patience with myself because it really wasn't really locked into my belief system. And last Tuesday night, it locked in. And I was so excited. And I called one of my best friends and I'm like, you're not going to believe what happened. This is so amazing. And I feel it in the depths of my soul. It was really wonderful. It was incredible. And then Wednesday morning, I got another confirmation and this surprise client. And I was, oh my gosh, this really is next level stuff. I'm super excited. And then about mid-morning, I started feeling it wasn't a feeling, because the feeling was up here, right? The feeling was high. I was in the next level in this belief state, in this feeling state. So it wasn't a feeling. It was habitual old thoughts, limiting thoughts that had the impression of trying to drag me into my old story, drag me into my old place, my old belief. I had two options at this point. I could have fought it tooth and nail. I could have fought. No, old belief, you are not going to have my consciousness. I have raised myself up. I have moved on beyond that you do not get me, right? I could have had that fought. And let me tell you, if I tell you not to think about the color purple, what are you going to think about? So if I had sat there and I had told myself not to think those limiting things, if I had told myself not to think those limiting things, what would I have done all day long? I would have stayed in that place. I really want to emphasize this because I know it's tricky, and thank you for the hearts. I'm glad this is ringing true for you. I know this is tricky because everybody talks about, yeah, but aren't you supposed to focus on what you want? Aren't you supposed to focus on what your intention is, what you're trying to create? And the answer is absolutely yes. But let me ask you this, where's the greater focus when something like that happens? Don't think this thought, don't think this thought, no, switch thoughts. Where's the focus there versus, oh my gosh, I have that thought. How weird, what other thoughts are in there, right? Do you see how it's easier to shift to new thoughts when you just accept the old hurtful one? stop fighting it. So I had those two choices, right? I could have fought it all day long. And by the end of the day, I would have been exhausted and my resources would have been low and my fight would have been with myself. So rather than that, I practiced what I preach and I stayed in my lane and I said, okay, all right, hurtful thoughts. Good. I'm glad you're feeling this. Thank you. All right, hurtful thoughts. What have you got to show me? What is this? And like I said, what else is there? So here it comes into my consciousness, this old story. What else is there? What does this have for me? And I got curious about it all day long. This is interesting. And then as I got more curious, I remembered conversations with a couple of friends of mine, one that I'm still friends with now, Sandra Thibault. I'm going to give you her information later. She's a psychotherapist, and she actually has also included things like Psych K, subconscious healing, theta healing, things like that into her practice. She's incredible. She's remarkable. And I remember her at one point telling me about something she learned, that we almost sort of have like a certain thermostat for our abundance. And and this was in a totally different conversation. It was about abundance specifically, but she said how we'll kind of stay within a couple degrees, but until we actually raise that thermostat, that inner thermostat, to something higher, we're always going to vacillate. We're always going to kind of stay in that same area. So the trick is to subconsciously raise that to a new height, and then you'll stay in that area, and then you raise it and you stay in that area, right? So that conversation occurred to me. And remember, I'm just getting curious. These thoughts are still coming, and I'm still like, what the heck? I was on cloud 9 last night. Like, how did this even happen? So every time it comes, okay, what else? And then I remember this conversation I had with a friend of mine who is a professional bodybuilder. And she said that, one of the great things about being in her at her kind of fitness level was she could go off of her diet and her regimen for quite a while, but because this was her homeostasis, because this was kind of her evening point, that her body would actually fight to get back there. So it became really easy for her to lose the weight or to get back in shape. And the same thing is true if you're unhealthy, right? That's why it's hard to get into that healthy, because your body's trying to get to this homeostasis. So I thought, as I'm getting curious, I'm thinking to myself, am I doing that energetically? Is there a part of my belief system that is trying really hard to keep me stuck in old, hurtful, limiting beliefs? Maybe that's the case. And if that's the case, I haven't done anything wrong. And if that's the case, life hasn't done me anything wrong. Oh boy, I am on a roll today with the thinks and the done me anything wrongs. But if you think about that, because the story is every time we start to get ahead, every time we get a little bit ahead financially, every time we start to feel happy and feel good about ourselves, right? The story is, I can't even catch a break. Every time I start to get a little bit ahead, something comes and knocks me down. And I bet if we were in a room right now and I could see you, you'd be nodding your head. Oh man, I remember. Oh God, I'm in one of those right now. Oh geez, that's so hard. It is really common. And you can see how it's a common story to get stuck in, because it feels that way, that every time you get ahead, something comes and tries to pull you backward. So rather than view it that way, I got curious and I stayed in this place and went, that's interesting. So nothing has gone wrong. No magical forces out there working against me. Rather than that, this was an opportunity for me to stay in that space, keep practicing, like that physical conditioning, right? This was an opportunity for me to stay in that higher level, to stay in that happier place, regardless of circumstances, not counting on my circumstances to make me happy, counting on my inner peace, counting on this inner development, counting on me, right? So this was my opportunity, and all day long I did this. I did not fight this thought. That is the key. There was no fight. It was total surrender without judgment, and allowed me to stay in this high place. I said, okay, all right, having these thoughts doesn't limit the success. Having these thoughts doesn't actually take me backward. I'm okay. That evening, I've got 2 teenagers I'm raising on my own. That evening, they had an adolescent meltdown. Both of them. One of them worse than the other. Both of them. Now, if I had been fighting that fight all day long, my resources would have been low, I would have been exhausted, and I would not have been able to handle whatever it was they were going through. I would not have been able to show up for them. And as it was, I was able to meet them where they were, take that little extra step, help them be whatever they needed to be as adolescents. And the whole evening, it was the craziest set of events. And I just kept going, boy, wouldn't it be easy to go into that old thought? Once you get ahead, that one step forward, two steps back kind of thought. And I'm like, that doesn't feel good to me anymore. I'm not in that space anymore. I was practicing being in my new space. I was practicing that. You know what I did while my kids were having a meltdown? I looked at my new drapes and I went, you know what? Those need an iron. I got on my ironing board and I friggin' ironed while my kids were going through whatever it was they were going through. And by the time they could calm down, we had a chat and everything was great. But I stayed in that place. And the whole time, here's the other piece. Here's the other really important piece I want you to recognize. While I was doing that, I was giving myself credit. This is a tough one for me, giving myself credit. I was like, look at you, Triffany. Look at you. You're amazing. You're staying in your lane. Look at you not getting all drawn down by their drama. Look at you be staying in this positive place. I'm so proud of you. Like, it was really this inner dialogue that was coming from this higher place, coming from this new space of being happy with myself and happy with my life and recognizing I had arrived at this new level of success, personally and professionally. And I stayed there. And my daughter had a birthday this weekend, which was, those are, with all the juggling and everything and trying to get everything done, that's always stressful. And then this week, my kids and I, we've had a couple of other disconnects. They're getting less and less. They're getting easier and easier. And every single time I have this conversation with myself, look at that. Isn't that interesting? First of all, the more you stay in this space, the quicker this seems to be passing. Second of all, you're getting more and more opportunity to practice staying in this space regardless of your circumstances. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for all of us. Imagine if we could, and we can, imagine when we all do, find this place of inner peace, find this place of inner acceptance and this compassionate place where we don't need anyone else to behave a certain way for us to be happy. When we don't need anyone else's recognition, their gratitude, their attention, even them being nice to us, when we don't even need that because we no longer make that mean something about our lives. We no longer attach meaning, emotional meaning to their behavior as a reflection of who we are. That's the answer to world peace right there, right? When we don't make other people's behavior mean something about us. And that is a constant practice. Trust me, I know, like I said, as a certified professional life coach, I'm not immune from this work. In fact, it's accelerated for me because if I'm going to bring this to the world and I'm going to help other people through it, this stuff comes at me pretty hard and pretty fast so that I can be available to people no matter where they are. So those are my thoughts for today. No questions today. Lots of hearts. Really appreciate the support. Those of you who are watching the recording on this is a Periscope. It's called a scope. And you can join me on these live every Wednesday at 8:30. I'm going to give you one more tip here in just a second, but I want to share some information with you first. And that's 8:30 Mountain Time on Wednesdays for these. Today, if you are a lovely member and you're part of the group coaching, we have group coaching today at 11. All these times are going to be in Mountain Time. Next Wednesday, we have another one of these, Scope, at 8:30 a.m. And then my Conscious Transition students, we have office hours. Now, if you're not already a Conscious Transition student, it's a home course in grief and growth, 6 modules for grief, 6 modules for growth, and it helps you really dump that old baggage and start over fresh from old hurts, old worries, old stories, all of that good stuff. The office hours to ask questions about the tools. And then next Thursday, we have the second The Inside Scope, which is 9 a.m. next Thursday, December 17th. And this is an opportunity for you to bring me your questions. This is where you get to say, okay, I heard what you said, and I tried it out in my life, and it didn't go as planned, and what did I do wrong? You bring those to me, and I'm going to answer those live Thursday, December 17th on The Inside Scope. And you can either watch live or watch the recording. So here's the information for that. TriffanyHammond.com/The Inside Scope. Send me your questions. I really want to be able to be there for you and help you through your journey, and you can find your inner peace. And then I told you about Sandra Thibault. Her website is Art of Loving Life. She's a fantastic human being. You want to make sure you check her out. She's incredible. And for the recording, obviously, I'll put some links and stuff up here in the video. So one more tip about this, and really it's a big reminder. I have long held the belief that when we do our inner work, when we work in our highest good, not our ego good, not grasping after things that our earthly self wants, but really living in accordance with what we yearn for on the inside. When we answer that call and we do that work, we can't help but help those around us. What do you think the conversation has been like with my kids after they've had that meltdown? It hasn't been reprimand, it hasn't been punitive, it hasn't been punishment, it hasn't been guilt or shame, it hasn't been any of that. It has been a conversation that has allowed them to have their emotional state of being. It has allowed them the grace and the space to feel what they feel without having the guilt of, oh gosh, if I have this meltdown, it's going to hurt mom's feelings. Or do you understand how that's a ripple effect? Now, even if you don't have kids, you can do that with your friends. You can do that with that nasty coworker. You can do that with your boss. You can do that with your neighbors. You can see how this ripple effect of you doing your highest work helps the highest work. Helps our communities and our businesses grow and thrive in ways where people feel safe to express and feel. Of course, apologize, but all of those are opportunities for learning. And when we make it safe for those failures to happen, we make it safe for all of us to rise up and evolve, right? That's why this work is so important. I want to tell you one last little thing here. You're going to start seeing it. If you're on my email list, you're going to start seeing it. The next Fail to Win course, it's a 12-week live telecourse with me for All Is Love. It's 3 weeks per module where it's all of this work in a close, intimate environment with me and other people who are committed to bringing the best of themselves to themselves so they can bring the best of themselves to the world. So I hope you'll come check that out. You can email me. I'll give you a super secret way to get kind of a deal on that. Email me at Triffany@TriffanyHammond.com. I think that's it for today. I would love it if you like this, share this, tell all your friends about it. In all honesty, these tools really need to be out there. These ideas, these mind shifts, this idea that what I'm doing as a person is available to absolutely everybody, and it's not difficult. It's just constant, right? It's just a consistent practice. So if you would be so gracious as to share this with the people you know and the people you love, I would be eternally grateful. And ultimately that space of us as a humanity, as a collective consciousness, will be eternally grateful for it too. So give yourselves a great big hug from me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.